Good afternoon. My name is Lucero Cazares-Rodriguez, and I will be presenting from Cooper Elementary.
I don't see it.
You will in a minute. Okay. We are going to be presenting on Padlet today. At our campus, we have 2 iPad carts, a cart with Chromebooks, and 2 cows with laptops inside of them. So we have technology pretty much readily available to us. We can just check out. We don't have a rotation schedule for our technology, so it's just kind of first come first serve. But they're usually pretty much available to anybody who needs them at that time, since we have such a diverse amount of technology. So welcome to Padlet. Padlet is an application or a website that you can use to, it's kind of like an online bulletin board. It can be used for lesson plans, to showcase student work, as a place to store resources, and a place for you to have online assignments for your students. And we're going to go through and show you I'm going to go through and show you examples of each of these things. So this is a 101, so it's a very basic of how to use Padlet. And I'm going to start by going to Google. You'll see multiple screens for a little bit, but then it will be fine. You'll see exactly what I'm doing. So here we go. First, you need to go to Google, and you can either go to your top bar and just type in padlet.com, or you can go down here to the Google search bar and type in Padlet. Either one works fine, and you can click on it, and you can do either one. You can sign up for Padlet on 2 different ways. I'm going to go ahead and log out so you can see it. So you go and you get this screen, and you have 2 options. You can sign up with Google, with your Google account, or with your work email. To me, it's always easier to do it with your Google account, since the district already pays for it. All your information is already there. You don't have to spend time trying to fill in all that information, because it's already available. So I'm just going to click Login with Google. And when you do, it asks you if you would like to have offline access to your Google information. And I say yes, I allow it. Okay, so when you get in, it will allow you to go to your dashboard. Your dashboard shows you whether somebody has posted, or whether somebody has done something on Google, on your Padlet, I mean, and be able to see what it's doing. What we're going to do is we are going to look at creating a new Padlet, first of all. So at the very top, there is this pink button with a white cross, and that is to make a new Padlet. So I'm going to go ahead and click it, and I'm going to start a new Padlet. And it kind of just gives you a generic way to do it. I'm going to title mine Environmental Center, because we are going to have a field trip in 2 weeks to the Dallas Environmental Center. And then down here under description is where I'm going to write what I want them to do. I want 2 things you learned. Okay, and so from there, we pick out a layout. When you do the free form layout, I figured out that that one does not work for me and my students because they tend to not pick where they want their information to be at. They just click the uh, addition sign so that it chooses for them, and it chooses the exact same location on this side. So all the posts are one on top of the other. And then my kids struggle seeing there, and then they redo it, and it ends up being a big mess. So I go with the grid. The stream does the same. I think my kids do better because maybe because they're younger with the grid. If you do high school or middle school, then freeform would work for you because then they're a little bit older. They have more awareness of technology and want to do it their way and things like that. But for me, that one is going to be the one to work best. Then you choose your wallpaper. So you go here and you can pick any wallpaper that you want for it. And I'm just going to pick grass because that's going to go with our Dallas Environmental Center. And then you click the back button to go back to your, finish up your Padlet. I'm going to click more here, and I'm going to pick an icon, and that's going to come up right here on this side next to where it says Environmental Center. And I'm going to choose a little green tree. It has to do with our theme. Posting. This is to display the author name above each post. This works, again, if you're like maybe 4th or 5th grade, middle school, high school. This works really well for you because then you get to see who is posting on your Padlet. It shows, especially if they're logged into Google, that way it'll show who did it. But with our little ones, we just let them use the iPads and they're not logged into Google, so it's not the same for them. The iPads are not assigned to them, so anybody can use them. It's not going to give me the name. This is for the comments, to allow them to comment on other people's posts. That has a lot to do with netiquette and being able to control what people say to each other. That is a lesson you must do before you turn that on, and to be able to have your students feel comfortable with that. I'm not going to turn either one on because I teach 2nd grade, so I'm going to continue to next. Here is the next part. Is going to be for you to be able to choose the privacy settings. Okay, private would be for if you're creating a Padlet for you to have your online resources. If you are doing a study on like we're doing right now, environments in science. And if we're going to study environments in science, then we are going to have to have all the resources together. Per se, if I have websites that I want to use, things that I want to visit, and then I want to keep it private because it's just for me to use, and it's just going to be my resources that I'm going to use in my classroom with my students. If you're collaborating like on a lesson plan with other teachers, and then you're going to share it with your teammates, then you can make it password protected and share it with your teammates. Right now, I just keep it secret, and that allows me and my students to use the links, and I'll show you in a little bit on the links, and they just can go in and write on it. Public, that's like the more of the world sharing. If you want to make it public, that is if you're going to be sharing with other people everywhere, and you have to make sure that your students have signed all the correct agreements to be able to do the public sharing. Those with access, you can have them be able to read only, and they can't add posts. If you want to put a bunch of resources like the old jump slides for students to be able to view videos and different things, go to different websites from your Padlet, you can use that as the old jazzy jump slides and things like that. And that way they're not able to edit it and they won't mess up your resource. Can write is if like mine, if you want them to be able to write on it and answer you and do things on it. Can moderate, again, that would be more middle school and high school where they can approve others' posts and things like that. Um, I personally do not let my kids do the moderating. I do the moderating. So I just click on Can Write, and then I go on from there, and I click Next, and the Padlet is done. Oh. And our Padlet is done, and it's ready for us to be able to start posting on it. To start posting on it, you have to click the Share button, and then Share Export. And it's going to give you the link to this Padlet. If you copy link, the link is on your clipboard, and you could paste it on a Word document. Just go to Word. If my students are using the Chromebook, then I just paste it on the Word document and have them copy it, which is a little bit difficult sometimes because of how many letters and numbers and things like that it has. You can use a URL shortener for the students to be able to copy it easier. Or you can click on Print Code. When you print code, it gives you the URL code in big. And what I usually do is I take off the tab, I minimize it, and then I edit it to be small. And I put it on the screen for my students to be able to just use their iPads and scan it. And then their posts start coming on the screen. And they love seeing their posts coming on the screen and then be able to just see that their comments are being posted, and then I'm able to see it. And it's a really good way to evaluate students without having to use paper and pencil to evaluate. If you use the iPads, I'm going to go ahead and minimize this. If you use the iPads, you can speak, and then if you have like the lower grades, kinder, pre-K, and things like that, and you want them to do something and to post, they can, because then they could, with the iPads, they can record their voice or record a video of themselves. They can put pictures. You can say on there, I need triangles, and they can go around and find you things that are shaped like a triangle throughout your school building or throughout their the classroom, however you feel comfortable doing it. It does not have to be written at all. So I'm going to show you an example of mine that we did last week. We studied Native Americans, and my students came on here and they posted what they learned about the Native Americans. As you can see, they just started using it, so sometimes they start one and they don't finish it, and then they start another one. If they don't have a name, I delete it. I thought that's one more thing. And when they post, since our elementary, second grade, my kids aren't logged into Google, it doesn't give me the name, so they have to put their name at the bottom. So they have their comment, and at the bottom is their name. To push enter and have their name. It took about 2 to 3 minutes to show them how to do this, and they have flown with it. And right now I'm just deleting the ones that don't have names. And I told them, hey, if it doesn't have a name, I'm going to delete it. And see, this one just says Native American Social Studies, and I posted on it. The first post was my post. It says, what have you learned about Native Americans? And then I put my name on there. And I did that so that I could show them how to do it. And they got to see me model it and show it to them, and then everybody got to answer. And from there, I can see who learned it, who didn't, and who needs a reteach of this particular assignment. Like I said, this could be a way for your students to post their work. If they created something paper pencil and you want them to take a picture of it and post it on there to show that they've done the work, you can do that. And it's anything that you can put up on a bulletin board outside of your classroom, you can use it on a Padlet. And it's up to you who you share your Padlet with. So you can share it with parents and administrators and things like that, and be able to have that out there. Another way to use Padlet, I'm going to go here, is once you start using it and you're in one, you have this little icon in the corner, and that's your account. And you can go to here and you can see all the different things that you have created. And I'm going to say on here, make a Padlet. And I'm going to make a Padlet for math. And sometimes we think, oh, these things are just for reading. I couldn't use this for math. And I'm going to put on here word problems, because word problems are an area that most of our kids are struggling with. So my description is going to be what I want them to do. Create a word problem for this equation. 53 minus 16 equals something. And then I'm going to continue to use the grid form, because the free form is a free-for-all, and that's really hard for my students to use. I'm just going to use a blackboard for them. I don't know why they love the blackboard themes in the background. I'm going to click back. It is math. So I'm just going to pick a random one. Pick sunshine. Again, I'm not going to turn on the posting or the comments, because I don't use that with my kids. Okay, and then I start posting. Okay, so from here, they can start posting. Again, I'm going to go to share. I'm going to have them use the URL code or use the QR code. Either one works. You can email it to them. If your students have email that they can check, if you're high school or middle school where they are allowed to have the email, you can email the link to them and have them go from there. And that would be awesome. And from here, the students can post and they can make your word problems on there. And that's such a great way for you to assess how they do it. And even if they get to see another student's word problem, that's a good thing. Because sometimes if your kids are struggling learners, they need to see an example of what a good word problem is. And that way they can model their word problem from somebody else's word problem. That's something you have to talk to your kids about. Make sure that your word problem isn't like anybody else's. If it's going to be in the long, change things, you talk about not plagiarizing and things like that. You can go into all kinds of discussions with that and be able to talk to them about being able to know what is appropriate and what is not. Again, I love it. I've been using it lately with my students. This could be used as a warm-up or an exit ticket out the door. Make sure you write your name on it and that kind of thing. There are also there's also an app for your iPad called Padlet, so you can use it with your iPad. And there is an extension right here as part of your Google extensions. It's an extension that says Post to Padlet. So if you're out on a website and you really like what you see and you want to post it to your Padlet and save it as a resource or add it to your lesson plan, Padlet, whatever you were going to do with it, then you can use the extension right here up above and be able to put whatever you want on your Padlet. I'm going to click on it. It says post this page to a Padlet, and it says create a new one. You can create a new Padlet from there, or you can add it to one that you already have. Like I have one called bookmarks. So I just I could add it to my bookmarks, or I can simply create a new Padlet for whatever it is that I'm looking at. Um, do we have any questions? No questions? Okay. I'm going to go ahead and show you my environments Padlet, and this one we just did today, and so I hadn't had really time to check it for them. That's another thing they asked me, can I put emojis on there? On Friday we went to a field trip. We went and saw Born in China, and the question was, what did you learn? What have you learned from the movie Born in China? And this is what my students learned from the movie Born in China. And like I said, my kids are English language learners, so they may not have the correct spelling and things like that. But that's okay. I can understand what they're trying to say. And we went through and we looked at it, and I can assess my students' learning from here. I can tell whether they paid attention during the movie, they didn't pay attention, who needs more help with things, and who got it. Sometimes with our special children, we have to have a partner and who helps them use the technology, or who writes it for them if they're not able to use it on their own. There's Kids love it. They love to be able to do things online and be able to learn it and be able to use it on their own. If there are no further questions, I don't think I have anything else to show you. We are good. But okay. Well, thank you so much for attending, and we will stay on for a bit after to make sure the chat stays open, where we'll be posting the link for the CPE credit in the chat box. Thank you so much.